I'm going to tell you who I be. I'm going to make you hate me because you ain't me. This is Mark Belbin, SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. I have some awesome footage. I'm sticking Vince Burbank into the coach's eye to check out his sumo deadlift form and his conventional deadlift form. I posted up a video of Vince a while back of his conventional deadlifts along with a bunch of other guys hitting some huge deadlifts. And Vince is like, hey, you never gave me any advice on my deadlift form. And the reason why I didn't is because I didn't feel like there was a whole lot to say. I feel like his conventional form is outstanding. But he was like, seriously, if you have anything to tell me about my form, then please let me know. And I kind of laughed because this is one of the strongest deadlifters in the history of powerlifting, successfully deadlifting over 900 pounds conventional in a meet and also pulling 881 sumo. That is one of the biggest combinations in the history of powerlifting. Ed Cohn has successfully deadlifted 887 in competition conventional and 901 sumo. So that might be the only baddest motherfucker that's more batterist than Vince Burbank as far as the combination of deadlift strength goes. So I'm going to stick Vince into the coach's eye, but before I do that, I just want to make a little announcement about my new invention here. You guys heard me talking about it. I have knee wraps for sale on my website, as well as this new item here, which is called the Circle. Now, the Circle, a lot of people are saying, oh, you can use bands for that. The Circle is this lower body circle, this version of it, is a product that you can put around your knees, around your ankles, around your quads, whichever area you want to put it around, and you can do sidewalks. Used to call them bandy sidewalks, and of course you can use a band for it. But guess what? This works a whole lot better. The tension is a lot more consistent, and it doesn't pull on your skin and tug on your nuts the way that the band does. And you're going to find that you're going to be able to do a lot more different types of movements with this than you could with the band, just because the band tends to roll up and just gets kind of weird. And also bands tend to get gross if you're sweaty and things like that. This is kind of more of a cotton type material, so if you sweat on it and get a little gross, simply hang it up, get a little air on it, and you're all good to go. Whereas the bands will start to fray and start to get a little bit weird. So check that out at howmuchyoubench.net. If you go to the website now and type in Arnold in caps, if you spend $75 or more, you'll receive $10 off. So enjoy this next video of Vince Machine Gun Urbank hitting up some huge deadlifts. Later. This colossal mutant that you're about to see is Vince Burbank. This is an 881-pound sumo deadlift with a hook grip. And then also you're going to see him pull 865 conventional. But we got him in the coach's eye here today, and we're going to review his form. We're going to check the technique. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And so let's go over this, and let's see if we can help this giant mutant pull around 920, which I think he's capable of. Tensioning on the hamstrings, got the hips high, sits back into it, crushes the weight off the floor, gets hard mid-range, still manages to lock it out. Unbelievable. Unbelievable strength and power from Vince Burbank. Let's back this up a little bit and see what we can see. See how we can fix this, fix some of these issues here. Although he did make the lift, there's still always room for improvement. So I like the high hips here. I just pointed right at his bunghole, didn't I? Whoops-a-daisy. I do like that he's showing it off to the crowd. That's a plus. And he's kind of tensioning on the hamstrings right here. Notice the massive quad sweep. That's from years of doing hack squats. But you're going to notice that he's going to kind of sit down and back into this, and he's going to create kind of a stretch reflex on the deadlift. It's a deadlift, but you can still kind of create a little bit of a stretch reflex out of the bottom. One thing that I think is going on here with him is that he's getting his knees too far forward, and he's squatting down too far. So let's watch that. Let's watch the knees. He should be pulling his chest up a little sooner, and he should be going from like right about here, because that's about where he ends up anyway. See how he squatted down and tried to straighten his back out? and then he gets all screwed up from there and ends up in the position that I just talked about. If he would have kind of left his back a little bit more laxed, you do want to get your back straight, especially your lower back. You want to try to get your lower back nice and stiff and nice and straight, but this guy's built like a tank, so his back is not going to be really rounded anyway in the lower back. But he could pull from right about there. He just needs to sit back a little bit more. He needs to force his knees out a little bit more, and he could efficiently and very effectively pull right from that spot. He doesn't have to duck down that much, in my opinion, and doesn't have to arch as hard from the bottom due to the fact that he simply just went right back out of that position. So there's really a point to that position. He went there. He squatted down a little bit too low. Knees are too far forward. The knees can't be really too far forward in a sumo deadlift because then you just have to remove them. You have to move them out of the way quickly. You have to move them out of the way. Which he moves them out of the way. When he moves them out of the way, weights come off the ground. That's weird. Let's back that up again. Keep in mind, this guy is a professional strongman. He knows what the deal is. He knows what's going on, but he asked for a little bit of advice, and so I'm going to give it to him. So the main thing here, hips are too low. That's points off. Knees are too far forward. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about just a few inches. It's not a big deal. Something that he could easily, manage. Kind of hard to draw, but you want your knee to be more straight up and down. Kind of hard to draw on here because all you can see is my fat finger. You want your knee to be a little bit more straight up and down there, and you want your hips to be a little bit higher. So you'd basically kind of start a little bit more from right there. Back it up one more time. You need to open up your knees here, force your knees out harder, and drive your head up a little bit more. And you can go right from there. There's no reason to squat down that extra bit because now your butt's just going to shoot up, put you over the bar. Weights come off the ground pretty effectively, but then that mid-range gets real tough. Unbelievable. That's freaking awesome. Some awesome deadlifting, awesome strength. Now here he is going completely raw, just in a belt, and he's going conventional. Now this is 865 pounds. Now he appears to be far away from the bar. This is a question we get asked a lot. How far away should you be from the bar? Well, it depends on your height, depends on your weight, depends on how you're built. And he looks far away from the bar, but watch as he swoops his legs under, gets close to the bar. The bar is very close to his body. He does a great job with that. You can't pull in any more of a straight line than that. There's really not a ton to say about his conventional deadlift other than maybe a little bit too much of a yank. You see how he kind of let his arms lax there and like loaded them up, and then he yanked on that barbell? Now keep in mind, this guy has deadlifted over 900 pounds this way in competition, and there's very, very few lifters who've ever done that. So he has developed a technique that feels good for him, and this may indeed be the best technique for him. But in my opinion, when you yank on the bar, you get a lot of nasty feedback from the bar, and then you end up shimmy shaking at the top. I think if he can do a more gradual pull, he'll have a better shot at finishing out something like 900, 915, and so on, because he's so strong and because the guy's grip, I've never seen the guy's grip give out. So having said that, I think he can hold on for a long time and strain against those weights. I really don't see anything that he could do differently on this lift. The form just looks outstanding. Back it up one more time. It's more acceptable to have the knees forward in a conventional style deadlift as opposed to sumo. You don't want your knees to come too far forward. And there's some rounding going on there, but, it's 865 pounds. That is some outstanding pulling there by Vince Burbank. Hopefully he can fine-tune everything and pull over 900 once again in a competition. And that is it from supertraining.tv.